uncertain times, good health is a must. Let Quality Diagnostic Laboratory provide you with fast, accurate results of the medical laboratory tests that you need. At QDL, our qualified and experienced staff can provide a host of blood, urine, and other tests in a safe, confidential, comfortable, and welcoming environment. We are open Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays to 12 noon. We are at the corner of Fines Avenue and Keon Street. Contact us at info@qualitydiagnosticlab.com or call 869-465-6657. And yes, si habla español. Quality Diagnostic Laboratory. Excellence in performance.
Pleasant good night and welcome to another HealthWise by the St. Kitts Nevis Medical and Dental Association. We are sincerely grateful that you have decided to spend your Monday night with us. Our motto is working towards healthier societies. Hence, we use this platform to educate, to provide knowledge, which is a fundamental tool in taking control of one's health. We also use this platform to develop positive attitudes, not only towards your health, but life in general, and in so doing, improving the quality of your existence here on earth. And most importantly for me, we use this platform to give visibility to the soldiers of the health system whose sterling performance and most time goes unnoticed. Without them, the system would cease to exist. Tonight, our topic is age with grace, good health, and economic stability. Now, aging is predictable. It's a predictable, progressive breakdown of the normal processes of your body, which sometimes makes it difficult or impossible to adapt to our environment. If we are fortunate to reach 60 and beyond, we have to give God thanks. The discussion tonight is to help us understand the anticipated changes of senior citizens so that we can help them adjust, which then translates to a happier, healthier, and fulfilled life. Tonight, I have a beautiful panel made up of persons who have been on TV, radio, and all other mediums before. I have Miss Sylvia Manning, NBE, retired sister nurse at the Geriatrics Hospital, former host of Nutrition and You, and point person for PAHO as it related to nutrition some years ago. I also have Dr. Rosella Stanley, medical officer on the psychiatric unit at the Geriatrics Hospital and owner of a nursing home. And I also have Miss Teresa Hamilton, registered nurse, owner of Royal Care SKN, another nursing home. And later in the show, we will have Mr. Quinn Martin, surgical insurance advisor. Getting old is not something to be ashamed of. Sometimes we give it low priority, and sometimes we don't give it any priority at all. That is why we are here tonight to bring awareness to this group or sector of the population so that we can help them and us at a later age adjust to being a senior citizen. So first of all, we would start off with our star of the night, which is Sister Manning, who has been a nurse for many years, who has been in the system for many years, and who has contributed significantly to the landscape of the health system in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Sister Manning is very, very senior, and she's proud of it. She looks well, and I can only pray to the Lord that when I reach her age, I look as well as she does. Sister Manning, good night. Good evening. And thank you for being here with us. I'm so sorry I had to take you out of your bed this good evening, but I'm so happy that you're here with us tonight. Now, Sister Manning, I want you to start the ball rolling by explaining to us, you're very senior, and explain to us what you would have done over the years that would have given you this vitality to reach thus far. And you have many more to go as well.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. What I can say is nothing of myself, but the grace and mercy of God. I think from a small age, or young age, I liked food, but I did not overdo it. I did it in moderation, and I believe that is what is coming on right now. Then I think having my mother who lived to 102 and having to deal with her from, say, about 98. When she was 98 years old, I realized she was then really stepping down. She was one who was very young in heart and happy, but I noted that the food she would eat is the same food, but there would be times when she didn't want it, and I would say to myself, why is she not wanting it? And then I realized she could not eat it as the younger people will eat it. As I explained some time ago, broccoli, celery, the hard type of food, she wanted it. So I had to make it in such a soft way, and all other foods after a certain age, so that she enjoyed her food. She was one who loved her food. And I realized I have not reached that age yet, but you never know. I also have to change some of the texture of my food so that it can be able to digest properly. And we have to realize that sometimes older people are given the food just like what young people eat. And they will take it, but sometimes they don't want it because it's not up to their standard, or later after they've received it, they have some sort of reaction. And sometimes the young people will say, I bought it for her, and I've done this for her, and she just refused the food and refused to eat. It's not that. You have to learn to know how to. It's just like a baby. A baby cannot eat what a child at 5 years eats. And so it is as one gets older. You have to change your eating habits. You might eat the same food, but the texture and the preparation makes a great difference. I think that is what helped.
So what I'm gathering here is that you spoke about moderation, and we have to eat in moderation. So you're telling us we cannot do this lot of eating. And that's something that I see very often. We have our plates, and it's like a mountain. And you know, the more the food we have on the plate, the better we feel. And sometimes we feel that we are actually doing good to our bodies when in fact we are actually causing harm. Okay? So sister, what can you tell me? I mean, when I was looking at the age definition, I realized I got into, the middle age, and I felt a little funny. And that's because sometimes the culture in which we live, we tend to shame persons as they get older. So give me some of the tricks, 1 or 2 tricks that I can look like you when I'm at that senior age. And I'm telling you, it's a blessing. It's not many persons will reach your age. So I really, commend you, applaud you for what you have done over the years. So what little tricks can you give me as a younger person so that I can reach your age? Because I really want to reach there.
You make me laugh. I don't think, look, I can speak from experience. When I used to go around to the health centers and the community, churches and what next, and speak about nutrition, some will say, but she looks so bony. What is she talking about nutrition about? But you see, God has not made us all the same way. One can look fat and plump, and in the next minute they're gone. The one that looks thin and bony, the Lord help them to live on. So sometimes these are the things that happen. Now, I doubt if I can tell you anything different, because you look hearty, healthy, and I believe...
I'm overweight too, yeah.
You're overweight. But what I want to say is sometimes it's by nature some of us are slim. Now, my mother was a woman over 200 pounds, way over. But as she got older, as I said, she started to slim down. And then the amount of food that she used to eat, you know. So sometimes it's not what we eat, it's how we eat it and when we eat it.
So you were someone who did a lot of exercise, you went to the gym?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, okay.
It's just me by nature. I really can't say much. It's just be my nature.
Okay, so we're going to have Dr. Stanley now. As usual, we always like to educate, that is, you know, to provide knowledge. Just to get into a bit of the definitions as it relates to geriatrics, because some persons, well, may not understand that there's a difference. It's actually a branch of medicine that sometimes we don't know exists, and sometimes we don't see it as being important. Many persons, many young doctors, when they get back home, they want to go and specialize in surgery and internal medicine. And geriatrics, that's a very important speciality that I think the policymakers who are listening, that's something you need to push our younger doctors in. So Dr. Stanley, let us just speak about geriatrics, gerontology, old age, so that our listeners and our viewers can have a better appreciation and understanding of these terms.
Very pleasant good evening, TV landers. I am Dr. Stanley, as Dr. Woodley would have so very pleasantly mentioned. Our topic this evening, and I'm going to say it over once again, is age with grace, good health, and economic stability. Now, this is something that I was looking forward to discussing on the panel here this evening. It's a very interesting topic for me, especially as a young doctor and as a young individual who has an elderly home. You know, this is something that I love dearly. When we speak about aging, there are a few definitions that we must cover before we enter into this topic, and tonight I'm going to briefly go through 3 of them, if I may. And we have geriatrics, gerontology, and old age. Now, geriatrics is simply a branch of medicine that deals with the problems and diseases of old age and aging people. Now, plain saying is we don't practice it as much as it was practiced in Cuba, and that's where I learned a lot about it. During my 6th-year rotation, as the last year, I had the opportunity, because there was no space on the internal medicine ward, as we had an outbreak of dengue in Cuba. So they sent me to the geriatrics unit, and I think that's where my passion began. It's a very humble branch of medicine, and it definitely opens your eyes and grants you wisdom, you know, to function and to face life, definitely, because I think it's a great opportunity when we get to that stage of life. And I applaud, you know, the many persons who have gotten there, and I say to you that it's really a good opportunity. Don't feel that it's a burden, although it comes with many problems, many pains, but it's definitely an opportunity. Now, gerontology, and this is the study of aging and the problems of the age. And I can say that there are many problems, and as the program goes on, we're going to go through each and every problem that the elder patient might face, so that we understand a little bit more about the elder patient. old age. We've heard about before, and I mean, all of these words, they may sound so similar, but they're definitely particularized and different with their definition. So we have old age, and that's a period of life when impairment of physical and mental functions become increasingly manifested in comparison to the previous life before. All right, and this is simply saying the things that we were able to do when we were younger, they pose difficulty in this particular period. And you know, I mean, the saying goes, and it's always, it always stands, once a man, twice a child. All of us can stand for that. Things that you can do when you were younger, you won't be able to do it. It's difficult. Even as simple as remembering something, your memory becomes affected. There's so many other things that are impaired, and we must be able to appreciate that. And that's why I think that this program is very important, as it will highlight some of the things, and people will become more knowledgeable of the things that we need to know when in regards to the elderly.
So Dr. Stanley, you made a very important point, because I studied in Cuba as well, and I actually grew and understood, and I gained a passion for the elderly when I went off to study, because we know Cuba is a society that keep the elderly relevant. It's not a society that once you reach at 60, you are then given low priority or you're pushed aside. And what I can remember, which stood out to me and many of my other colleagues who studied in Cuba, is that they had these daycare centers for the elderly, Círculo de Abuelos. And I was taken back, because all of the elders of the community would go to a particular house in that area, and they would interact with each other. They would play cards. Doctors would go there, give them their checkup, and they look forward to that. Because when you reach to that age, you're not working anymore. You have broken your routine of going to work every day. And sometimes just breaking a routine can actually affect your psyche and your mental status. So when we saw these, I mean, I used to stop at mornings when I was going to school and look at these daycare for the adults, and I was in awe. And they were so happy. You saw the glee on their faces, the bliss, that persons thought they were important. And what they used to do as well is to take them sometimes to the schools and let them interact with the younger children, teach them things, teach them about the history. And I think that's a page we probably need to take out of the books from the Cuban system. I totally endorse that, and I really, if the policymakers are listening, that's something we need to do. Now, Nurse Hamilton, there's a classification for the ages. When I was going through it, because people do not like to use the elderly anymore or the old, it's actually offensive, so we prefer to use senior citizens. Although when I spoke to certain senior citizens, they didn't mind being called an elder. Actually, it gave them some status, they felt well. But just for theoretical reasons, we're going to look at the different age groups and how we classify before we can actually get into some of the diseases that we see our senior citizens suffer from. So, Nurse Hamilton, can you just, enlighten us about that, please?
Good night to the listening audience. By definition of the elderly, according to the World Health Organization, most developed countries have accepted the chronological age of 65 years and above as a definition of elderly or older persons. According to the UN, the age classification by which someone can be referred to as an elderly would be from the age of 60 plus. Now, the category has been broken down into 3 other areas of interest. These are, like Dr. Wood have mentioned, Dr. Woodley would have mentioned, persons don't like to be called old, or they don't like to be referred to as the elderly. So we say that they're the young old, and for this category is mostly the persons who are up to 75 years. So you find that the persons who are 60 plus, up to 75 years, these are the persons that would be considered as the young old elders. Then you have the old elderly. These are persons up to 85 years of age. Then you would have the very old persons, and these are persons that are over the age of 85, who we classify as very old.
So we have a classification more or less. It seems, I mean, just in my early 40s, and you may say, oh, that's far away. I can recall when I was 20 and I looked at persons at 40, I was like, oh my God, they're old. And then now I am there, it's like, wow. So we are going to get there by the grace of God if we do. And you know what is amazing, that we know at some point we may reach there, but I don't think many of us are preparing for when we get there or if we get there. Sister Manning, back to you. What do you think, or what are you looking for as a senior citizen? How can we help you adjust to life? How can we help you make life better? What are some of the things as a senior citizen you wish to see in your community that would make your life better?
I think that older people, or as one gets older, they should be thinking of the future. Nobody really knows how long they will live. But my example is this. It might not sound right, but I thought, look, as I get older, I am not married. I have a family that is away, that I looked after when they were young, and now they're married and have children. But I thought of myself. I cannot depend on them. So I must look to the future, and I must prepare myself in various ways. Not only in eating habits, but try and financially prepare myself. I must be able to support myself, and I must be able to help others. I think that one has to look at, what are you doing? What are you preparing yourself for? Is your wages or your salary sufficient for you to live on in years to come? And can you minimize on what you're doing now? If you find yourself spending more than you should be able to hold back and see how you can do it. Because I know in the older days, the older people didn't have much, but they know how to put a penny aside. Young people just see what is there and they want it. We used to see them, some of them had head ties, and they'd put their fingers up in their head ties because they have some money up there. Then they might have a little bag around their waist, and the money is there. And they do little things, and they might not be working for much, but they make sure to put something aside. And I think this is one of the main reasons. We have to look to see what we have, how we're using it. Are we overspending? Are we trying to live like the Joneses? Or are we trying to make sure we have a new dress on every Sunday, or every activity that is going, we must look new brand? We have to take time with that.
Okay, so sister, so what I'm gathering, as you're saying, we need to put aside some money for rainy days.
Yes.
And which is something good. I actually learned that from my dad as well. He was very thrifty, and as he said, whenever you make money, whenever you got paid, you always need to put aside something for savings. And if you are to do that by the time you get older, and we're going to get in that a little later because we have Mr. Martin who would speak about that. And once you put aside bit by bit, by the time you reach your age, we should be able to take care of ourselves. So we're going to look at some of the physical changes. And what is, we know what are these changes. These changes are anticipated, but sometimes we still don't know. And we sometimes get angry at the elderly when we see these characteristics being displayed. So we're going to have Dr. Stanley look at some of the physical changes that occur as you get older.
Now, definitely there are many changes that occur within the human body once the human gets older, and we have about 6, 7, 8 of them that are very important. And throughout my career, I see these every day, and they're not just book, they are really what happens as humans get older. Now, we have, I'm going to list them out, definitely, and then we're going to go more into them. We have energy, we have immunity, hormones, cognition, we have bones, metabolism, and we have mobility. All right, now,
so
when we speak...
we're going to just pause because we have to thank the good people at QDL for sponsoring the show. We are so grateful to them. We want to thank Miss Jasmine Stanley and her staff down at QDL in front of the Greenlands Pasture Park. We want to thank you so much for your commitment to the show and your commitment to health in the Federation. So we're going to take a short break, and Dr. Stanley is going to come back and speak about the changes as you get older. So go grab an apple, a bottle of water, and come right back to your couch to look at our show.
In these uncertain times, good health is a must. Let Quality Diagnostic Laboratory provide you with fast, accurate results of the medical laboratory tests that you need. At QDL, our qualified and experienced staff can provide a host of blood, urine, and other tests in a safe, confidential, comfortable, and welcoming environment. We are open Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays to 12 noon. We are at the corner of Fines Avenue and Keon Street. Contact us at info@qualitydiagnosticlab.com or call 869-465-6657. And yes, si habla español. Quality Diagnostic Laboratory. Excellence in performance.
Welcome to the beautiful islands of St. Kitts and Nevis. Today, we'll be spending time with the Wilberts. They're a happy family that love liming, and with plenty of food and drink to go around, life is good, but not for long. Sadly, the Wilberts never paid attention to what they ate or drank. And when asked to reduce those sugary drinks, they joked and said, "We will, but not today." Unfortunately, a year later, Mr. Wilbert had a stroke. And a few months after that, Mrs. Wilbert was diagnosed with diabetes. From hospital bills and the cost of drugs to time off work, this began to take its toll on the family. But it wasn't until they saw the effect it was having on their children that they finally decided to make a change. You see, the Wilberts realized their family was already sweet enough, and a healthy lifestyle was the best gift they could ever give them. What gift will you give your children?
Pleasant good night, and if you're just joining us, this is HealthWise by the St. Kitts Nevis Medical and Dental Association, and we are discussing age with grace, good health, and economic stability. With me in studio, I have Sister Sylvia Manning, who is a former sister nurse at the Genep Hospital. She's also someone who dealt with nutrition, and she also had a show that was entitled Nutrition and You. I also have with me Dr. Rosella Stanley, who is a medical officer and also the owner of Renewed Life Nursing Home. And I also have with me Miss Teresa Hamilton, registered nurse and also owner of a nursing home as well. And later we will be joined by Mr. Quinn Martin. Dr. Stanley had just gotten into the changes that you would see as you begin to age. And this is important because all of us are aging. In fact, from conception, when you are conceived in your mother's womb, you have begun the aging process. So these things are important to look at, and as you, trust me, once you pass 35, you're going to reach up there pretty fast. So we need to pay special attention to what Dr. Stanley has to say as it relates to the changes as you get older.
Thank you, Dr. Woodley. Now, most definitely, as elder patients, it's very important for us to understand and know the changes that takes place within the human body as a person ages. And that helps us to understand some of the complaints and actually some of the illnesses that the elders, soon ourselves, would face. All right. Here are some of the changes that we most definitely would expect. Now, I already listed some of them. I'm going to go through it once again. Let's go. We have energy, immunity, hormones, cognition, bones, metabolism, and mobility. Now, regarding energy, all right, energy is weakened, all right, due to nutrient deficiencies, sedentary lifestyle, and hormonal changes. Most definitely, once a person ages, the boost of energy that they would have had whilst they were young has definitely decreased. They eat differently, and their nutrient intake is definitely decreased, thus contributing to the decreased energy boost. All right. Now, there is also a decrease in the movement. All right, that these persons might have been usually involved in. Hence, they have a sedentary lifestyle. All right, and this definitely contributes to the energy decrease. And of course, we have hormonal changes, which play a big role within the elderly. It's decreased. Hence, of course, we have a decrease in the energy that is produced within the elder individual. Now, immunity, of course, there's an increased risk of illness and infections due to a decline in the lymphocytes and increase in inflammatory cytokines. And let me just say that in lay terms as well, the immunity is decreased. All right, so you find that an elderly patient is prone and much more susceptible contracting whatever illness that's probably going around. For example, we are still in the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's why it was so important to protect the elder patients. Even the very common cold, all right, they are more prone and susceptible to contracting these illnesses because of the decrease in their immunity. Hormones, we said that earlier as we were speaking about energy, changes in sexual drive. There's no longer a sexual drive, and your companionship, if you're married, is not more of a sexual thing. It's more about companionship, and that is very important as you age. Mood, all right, it's unstable. You'll find there are many different changes in the character of an elder individual, and that's just because there are hormonal changes. All right. Now we have as well body composition due to decreased estrogen levels, and this all just comes together again, and progesterone, of course, in women, and decrease in and testosterone in men. All right, so these are all part of the hormonal changes. Now, the cognition, definitely, it is reduced drastically. All right, and this is due to neurodegeneration. All right, and of course, nutrient deficiencies, as well as the pharmacist is going to touch on a little bit of the illnesses which contribute to a decrease in the neurodegeneration, and you guys are going to understand a little bit more, certain behavioral characteristics that takes place within the elderly as we continue. The bones, you find that they're more susceptible, especially, you have to be very careful when we talk about the elderly, they're more susceptible to falls due to a decrease in the energy. All right, so bones tend to have a big effect. All right, especially when we're speaking about falls within the homes, we have to take into consideration this, because bones are weakened, and again, it goes right back to nutrients. All right, the nutrient intake is decreased. Hence, the bones are weakened and prone to fractures. All right. Metabolism, there's a reduced appetite, and you find that the elders, they don't necessarily eat the big bulk of food that we usually eat. What I find, especially as the owner of an elder home, is that they eat very small portion. at a very fast time. You understand? So whereas I might eat 2-3 meals daily, they might eat 5-4 meals daily in a fast time period. All right? Mobility, loss of strength, muscle mass, flexibility, and due to reduced activity, you'll find, and sometimes you say, Mommy, like, except for me, as my mother, she's aging, I say, Mommy, you're losing a lot of weight, and now as I care for elder, and now as I study the elder, I understand that this is not because she's on a diet or because she doesn't want to eat, but this is because it's a natural physiological process that, we can't deny once you're aging.
So that's a very important point, because I remember when my mom was getting older, she began losing weight, and she was so preoccupied while she was losing weight, what is happening to her. But as you said, as you get older, you would lose some of this muscle mass, and then you begin to lose weight. So, I mean, Dr. Stanley, if we anticipate all of this going to happen to someone who's getting older, so why is it, or do you think we have things in place for our elderly, for that vulnerable population? Because we see it, we see what will happen. So as a doctor, as someone who has a nursing home, when you look in the community, when you look further in the country, are you seeing things that we are serious about that group?
Well, some might say yes, we are, and yes, we have elderly homes, and yes, we have elderly services, but I most definitely feel that we are not tapped in to what is really elderly care when it comes to geriatrics. And I say that because, of course, the culture here is different, and I'm going to say this, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I find, when persons start to age, they're sort of placed aside, like a little trophy, a little medal, and that can cause some drastic damage and drastic deterioration in the elder. Now, where I come from, and I'm going to say that, where I come from very proudly, in Cuba, that's not so. As Dr. Woodley would have mentioned before, the elders are, they're held with much pride, and they are a very important part of society, and so do they make them feel. I could remember I lived with a Cuban family, and I had my Mima, she's the so-called grandmother, and I had my Mima, and every morning at 6 o'clock, Mima would be up at her circular, and it's like a little group with elders in the particular vicinity, and they would be doing their exercise, and I would take Mima outside and let her go to do her exercises, and Mima looked forward to go into this particular engagement, and it really struck me. I'm like, oh, instead of leaving her here and making her feel so unimportant, why not involve them in certain activities that would stimulate them and make them feel as if they are important.
And that is so important, because if we were keeping there was this young lady who is alleged committed suicide, this beauty queen. And one of the problems she cited was that she didn't want to get older for how she saw persons treated the elderly. And she, as a beauty queen, she just couldn't fathom getting older because she was afraid. I guess she had that image in her mind where she would probably be placed in a back room, dark, with a little window, and she's just looking outside. So she could not fathom that, and that's one of the reasons it's alleged why she committed suicide. So we have to change that culture that when you get old, we push you aside. We have to change that culture that when you get old, you are no longer relevant and we don't need you. That is not true. So that is why we have this show. We are bringing awareness to these issues. We are hoping that the policymakers, and I have to say that because the show is here to tickle everybody, and we hope the policymakers who are looking on, we need to do something for our elders. We are going to get there. We need to do more. Let me not say do something, but we need to do more for the elders. Now, Nurse Hamilton, in your practice, in your home care, what are some of the problems you see in the elderly, in that population? What are some of the sicknesses that we normally see in this population, in this group?
Now, when we look at health and the economic status of our aging populations, some of the things that should be highlighted are the quality of care that is being afforded to our elderly persons, as more and more elderly are being plagued with increased morbidities. Now, the morbidities for us are the problems or the diseases that you find our elderly persons are suffering with, whether it is obesity, whether it is heart disease, whether it is diabetes, whether it is anemia, cancer, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, even emotional and mental problems. Those are also a part of the elderly. Those are also problems that can be listed as some of the things that the elderly persons have to go through.
What is important as well, especially for us females, that osteoporosis. We normally see that a lot for ladies who would have gone through menopause, and sometimes because the estrogen is a protective factor, keeps our bone mass there. After menopause, then our bones become brittle and we are more prone to fractures and things like that. So even these things, ladies who are going through menopause, and trust me, when I looked at the age group, I realized I'm in my middle age. So just now I know I probably will be creeping up on menopause. And sometimes even as doctors, we don't realize all of these things are anticipated. We forget about them. And then when we go through these changes, we don't understand. Our spouses don't understand. Our sisters, the neighbors, the community doesn't understand. And sometimes they will just label you probably, oh, she's crazy. But Dr. Woodley don't go home, she's crazy.
So you're used to helping everybody.
Exactly. So that is why we are here, to bring awareness, let you know what is happening. Now, Sister Manning, in terms of eating, as you got older, did you find problems with the eating habits? Dr. Stanley spoke about, your feed or you eat, the frequency would increase. But did you see that change? So, for example, when you were 40 to now that you're very senior, have you seen any changes as it relates to your eating, etc.?
What I observe is that certain foods, when I eat them at a certain time, later they react on my stomach, and then I learned that you can get acid reflux. So you have to be careful with your acids, like your juices, foods that will give you indigestion. Now, for instance, I wouldn't get indigestion from cabbage and cucumber, but somebody else will get that. So one has to note the things that affect them and be wise about it. The time when one eats makes a big difference. At your age, Dr. Woodley, you will, as we'll say, midnight you'll get up and eat up all sorts of things.
That's why I'm fat.
But then as one gets older, you realize you cannot do that. And you have to be careful when you eat, what you eat, and how you eat. And then you have to think of the supplements that you need to help you. For instance, the multivitamins, vitamin C, you have vitamin A, you have calcium, you have vitamin D3, you have all sorts of vitamins to help you. And therefore, I make sure I take my vitamins. Every morning when it's multivitamin, it's extra vitamin C, or I wouldn't take calcium daily, but I'll take it at some time. I might not take a vitamin D3 this week or something, but I make sure that I take it. But my multivitamins, I'm sure that I take that daily. And then iron, some people suffer from anemia, you have to take your iron tablets. And then when you take them, sometimes they make you get constipated. So you have to learn to know when you're taking them, how you're taking them. If you find you're getting constipated, check up on it. If it's not stopping, see your doctor. Various little things like that. Sometimes as we get older, we think, oh, doctor only wants money, and therefore why should I go to the doctor? You have to, even if it's not once a year, but once, every 3 months, 6 months, make sure you stop by your doctor, and he'll send you for a health check. And then he'll tell you, whether your kidneys are all right, your blood pressure all right, your hemoglobin, your white cells, your kidney all right. And you feel proud when you know these things are all right. But if you do nothing about it and you're waiting on the Lord says, wait, and still wait. Do something about your waiting.
Thank you so much, Sister Manning. And on that note, we're going to listen to our sponsors down at QDL, and we'll be right back.
In these uncertain times, good health is a must. Let Quality Diagnostic Laboratory provide you with fast, accurate results of the medical laboratory tests that you need. At QDL, our qualified and experienced staff can provide a host of blood, urine, and other tests in a safe, confidential, comfortable, and welcoming environment. We are open Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays to 12 noon. We are at the corner of Fines Avenue and Keon Street. Contact us at info@qualitydiagnosticlab.com or call 869-465-6657. And yes, si habla español. Quality Diagnostic Laboratory. Excellence in performance.
It's only just a phase. Once we're vaccinated, and everybody gonna be safe. Everybody gonna be safe. One kind, yeah. One people. We are roll up to roll up. Yeah. Cause no man's alone. Do what's right. Alright. Cause I love you. Brother, my sister. And we're in this together. My sister, my brother. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much. I think it's better for us, yeah, yeah. It's better for us, yeah. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much, yeah, yeah. It's better for us. Tell your mommy to roll out.
Bless up. Dejo here, and I'm doing my part in the fight against COVID-19 by following all safety protocols and, most importantly, rolling up my sleeve for the vaccine. So I'm encouraging you to do the same, because that's our best shot of protecting ourselves, our family, and our friends. So don't wait, vaccinate. Let's roll up to roll out.
Pleasant good night, and thank you for joining the St. Kitts Nevis Medical and Dental Association on our HealthWise. And the topic tonight is Age with Grace, Good Health, and Economic Stability. And I was waiting for this part, the economic stability, because when we go to medical school, we are not taught the economics of life. You're so caught up in getting the concept, the diagnosis, and the treatment that you don't understand that there's an economic aspect to life. So when we get out of school, we normally drown. I have an expert here who's going to speak to us about that. And I don't want at 60, I am still running between Dr. Stanley and the other young doctors. I want to be home. I want to be somewhere in Italy on a beach, drinking a glass of lemonade. Okay? So I need to know what I need to do now, Mr. Martin. And now we have Mr. Martin with us. He's going to introduce himself. But Mr. Martin, I want to know what I can do now, so I don't have to reach 60 and be running down, going to the theater and running down, to make a little dollar here. I want to be free. So Mr. Martin, help me or help us. How do I get to at least 55 and I know I am economically stable. Good night, and thank you. This is the best part.
Well, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me, being a part of the panel. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. And Dr. Woodley, I can assure you that I have the perfect solution for you. I want to make sure that you can indeed be sipping that lemonade on a beach by the time. In Italy, or maybe Spain, or maybe Australia, any place of your choice. You see, there are policies that are called endowment plans, life insurance policies that are specifically designed to cater to your financial stability. And the key here is to start as early as possible. An endowment plan is a plan that pays the policy owner a lump sum of money at the end of a specific period of time while it protects that person's beneficiaries. So you mentioned that you want to be on a beach, and I am sure you have an idea of the amount of money that you want to have at that particular age that will get you on the beach, that will get you to that particular destination. An endowment plan allows you to forecast what you want to accomplish within that specific time frame, design your plan with enough coverage that you can satisfy that need, and make an input, a premium payment into that policy over a certain amount of time, that indeed when that plan matures, then you will receive a lump sum payout.
So you can have that endowment plan at any age. So if you say you are 30 plus, you can go and have an endowment plan and say, at the age of 45, I want to have $1 million.
Absolutely. Well, it all depends on the parameters of the plan. Endowment plans sometimes have a cutoff age, but the plan is designed where once you fit within that time frame offered by the policy, you can decide how much you want to save to at maturity of the plan. And usually, depending on the length of the plan, you will see a substantial profit given to you on your investment. For example, I'm not sure if the control room has an example of the endowment plan, but I can give you an example that I have here. So I am indeed looking at an endowment plan, and this is for a female who is 20 years old, who started an endowment plan for $250,000 to mature at age 60. So it's a long-term plan. Now, that premium would cost about $189, $190. Now, the forecast is that when that person gets to age 60, that person would have yielded a profit of $159,044.80 on that investment from age 20 to age 60. And that is the profit. So that person receives $250,000
plus.
Well, that is the payout on the policy. Okay. So that person would have injected $90,955 into the plan, receiving $250,000 at maturity, which equates to a profit of $159,044. So that's a perfect example of starting early, forecasting where you want to be in the future, and getting to that destination while gaining a substantial profit on your investment. I don't think it gets much better than that.
I mean, that sounds good. Okay, hear these other doctors over here. That sounds good.
And mind you, remember the protection aspect of the plan.
Yes, so what is the protection aspect?
The coverage.
But let me ask you, this is because what I want, because I don't want to be biased. We don't want to be biased on the show here.
Sure.
Because this is generic information that we are giving out. Persons may have other policies and other insurances. Certainly. I mean, that's great. So what we're trying to get you to understand, go in and find out what is there so that you can benefit from.
Correct.
Okay? So we're here to stimulate, that thought process, like, hey, I need to start thinking about when I get at 60, because I don't want to be working when I'm 60 and 62 and 63. I want to be where? In Italy, on a beach?
Absolutely.
Drinking some lemonade. Okay, so we want to be as transparent and as fair as possible to the other agencies, because we're not here to actually bash one and make one seem better than the other. We're giving you generic information as it relates.
Absolutely.
Let me also put a plug in here for Social Security as well. If you pay your Social Security at the end of it all, you can actually benefit from it. I know Miss Lawrence, Camilla, she would be happy for this little plug. Okay? But I have to be honest, you will need multiple sources when you reach at 60. So if you can have your Social Security coming in, and you can have this endowment plan coming in, what? We don't have to be competing with the younger folks trying to make money between them. We can be, having fun and be, living life, living the vida loca, and we can retire early, okay? Yes. So I love that endowment plan. What else you have for us?
Yes, well, also just to reiterate what you said, Dr. Woodley, this information is generic information. Many insurance companies have endowment plans, so feel free to research and to invest in the plan that you see more suited for you. So in addition to endowment plans, there are also pension plans. Now, an endowment being a plan that pays you a lump sum at the end of a specific period of time, the pension plan now pays you a monthly stipend for the rest of your life after that particular plan matures. And the pension plan also gives you the option upon maturity to cash out a lump sum from that plan as well. So you have both options available. You can either take the monthly stipend or you can choose to cash out the fund from your pension plan. Now, persons want to make sure, as Nurse Manning alluded to, that when you get to a certain age, you are financially stable, you don't have to rely on loved ones, you have equipped yourself for that age. A pension plan certainly will provide you with that financial stability by ensuring that if there is medication to purchase, if there are daily needs to satisfy, buying groceries and generally taking care of yourself, you can have that monthly stipend guaranteed to be paid to you, just like a social security pension that you can rely on to protect yourself during your golden years, when really you should be enjoying your life. You've worked hard, you've paid your dues, and these plans ensure that it wasn't in vain. You can then enjoy yourself and not have to rely on your loved ones when you get to that age.
So you can start with these pension plans, even like probably in your teens, but as soon as you leave school, you can start thinking about, I mean, it sounds crazy that you just start to work and you're thinking about retiring.
Yes.
But I think, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
Because if you wait too late, sometimes you end up at 60, you cannot go home. And sometimes you say, why Dr. Woodley don't go home? But is that Dr. Woodley can't go home?
Yes,
because
correct.
I have a mortgage paying, I have children in school, I have a care, I just take out a care at 55, so I need to pay for it.
Yes.
So we need to start thinking about these things. That's very great information. So we have the endowment, we have the pension plan. Anything else?
Well,
a little more details about the pension plan?
Sure.
That's something I would like to hear more about. That sounds very interesting.
Okay. Well, yes, pension plans, you can also stipulate when you want that plan to mature. So some persons choose for their pension to mature at age 55, maybe age 60, maybe a little down, age 65, age 70. So the longer the term of the policy, the greater would be the yield at the end of, at maturity of. Yes, you can make a monthly payment, and you control how much you put into the pension. There is a minimum amount, but if you want to come in and add extra to the pension, it will increase the monthly payout at maturity of the plan. So you have control over that.
And the premium depends on what age? Your age group?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
But also there are different pensions where you can put in a huge lump sum into the pension, and then when the pension matures, you can see yourself receiving a monthly stipend from the amount that you injected one time into the pension. So that is also an option that can be considered.
As it relates to your health, lot of these schemes, what are the schemes or what are the programs that would gear towards health? Because we are doing health, I mean, when we get to that age, as Nurse Hamilton has said, there are so many sicknesses. We have to proof our homes, which we are going to see just now. We have to buy medication. We have to, cater to so many needs. So can I get a plan that I can cash in on, and then still have enough to go and, take care of my health bills and things like that? Or if I get sick, if I fall down and break a hip, my money is still safe, so I can get that 250 or that 180 something profit, but then you will still help me out with my broken hip?
Yes, well, I think what you're speaking about might be two separate plans. You can have that endowment plan, as we discussed, that caters to that financial security down the line, or you can have even what is called a whole life plan, plans that have what are called cash value, savings that build up in the policies that you can cash out in the event of an emergency, while you still have your health insurance plan that specifically caters to that sickness, that injury that you might face. And one of the things that I want to inform the general public of as well is most health insurance policies have what is called preventative care, where you're able to go to the doctor once per year and get a free general checkup up to a certain amount. right? It might be that you have to do a pap smear. Even though these things can be done at the health center, you might want to go to your personal physician. The insurance company pays for that without you having to pay anything. Right? It might be a general checkup. You want to make sure that you're in tip-top shape. The insurance company pays for that on an annual basis. So these are things to look into with health insurance policies and take advantage of them. And all of these things, as mentioned, are included in most health insurance packages.
And I'm happy that you said most health, because as a doctor, I know some insurances don't pay for checkups. And that is a problem. So here we are again, trying to tickle you again when you're looking for your insurance policies or companies. You have to go through them with a bit of fine-tooth comb and see exactly what they're offering to you. Because remember, you have to age with grace, good health, and economic stability. So you have to, we really have to take control of our lives. And that is why we have this show. We use this show as a platform. I mean, I come here I come here very often. And sometimes I'm tired when I get here. But I come here just to educate and give you that tool so that you can take control of your life. Okay? So, Mr. Martin, we're going to come right back to you. I see my producer behind here telling me I need a break. And I'm going to have the good people at QDL, Miss Jasmine Hanley, and her good folks down at QDL, who has sponsored this show. We're going to have their advertisement on now.
In these uncertain times, good health is a must. Let Quality Diagnostic Laboratory provide you with fast, accurate results of the medical laboratory tests that you need. At QDL, our qualified and experienced staff can provide a host of blood, urine, and other tests in a safe, confidential, comfortable, and welcoming environment. We are open Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays to 12 noon. We are at the corner of Fines Avenue and Keon Street. Contact us at info@qualitydiagnosticlab.com or call 869-465-6657. And yes, si habla español. Quality Diagnostic Laboratory. Excellence in performance.
Pleasant good night, and if you're just joining us, we are discussing age with grace, good health, and economic stability. So far, we have had an interesting show, and I've gotten a few texts from friends and well-wishers who are enjoying the show. And thank you for viewing. I have some die-hard viewers who always tune in, and I'm so happy for your support. We were speaking with Mr. Martin about securing your finances for your golden age. And he gave us some great insights, and I'm taking notes and I'm ticking off because, as I said, I don't want to work forever. I don't want to be working at 60, 61, 62. So I need to put things in place now at my not so young age, so when I get to that stage of my life, I can be comfortable. So, Mr. Martin, we're going to have you continue with empowering us about how we can reach to our senior age and not be scrunting and grappling for monies. Mr. Martin.
Yes. Well, one of my favorite quotes, and this is a personal quote, is the more time you get is the less time you have.
That's deep.
Yes. When you really conceptualize it, sometimes persons think that because they're young, they have all the time. That you really have less time because you're aging and you simply don't know what tomorrow holds. And when it comes to insurance, it is really something that is proactive as opposed to reactive. You're supposed to envision where you want to be in the future and put the necessary plan in place to assist you in getting there. And what I grasped from when especially Mrs. Manning was speaking is that in life you have to make certain adjustments as you get older. You might change the way that you eat and so on and so on. There are different changes that take place in one's life where somebody might be young at this age, but as they get older, you might then start a family. And then you might start thinking about mortgage security. And these things all require life insurance to provide the proper protection that you need. So I do believe that in order to properly set yourself up financially for the future, you have to look at the different stages of your life that you foresee and put the necessary plans in place proactively to satisfy those different stages that you get to in life. And again, insurance in general provides you with the opportunity to safeguard yourself as you get older, as you build. So when you get to your golden years, you will be financially equipped.
I mean, sounds very good. And Mr. Martin, have you come in contact with any senior citizen, and how do you treat them?
I treat them with absolute respect, as I should. I always see it as a pleasure to interact with senior citizens because of their experience and their wisdom that they can impart. And generally speaking, it is just good to ensure that you treat your elders with the respect that they deserve. They've paid their dues, and they deserve to know that they are well respected and valued for their contributions.
Well said. Your mother taught you well. Nurse, we come back to you and your home. I can have Dr. Stanley in terms of, there's some major problems, but things like vision and hearing, these are some major problems the senior citizens complain of. Can you, give us an insight as to some of the vision problems that we can see in the elderly, as well as the hearing problems, and how do you go about curbing this problem in your home? We can have Dr. Stanley come in with the vision problems in the elderly.
All right, now the vision problems, we can categorize them. We have blinding causes, all right, and we have the non-blinding causes. All right, in the blinding causes, we have cataract, and that is definitely reversible, of course, through surgery. We have and that's seen in patients who are hypertensive, mostly. We have the glaucoma, all right, seen in patients who are diabetic, and we have diabetic retinopathy, as the name implies, of course, persons who are diabetic, and we have age-related macular degeneration, and those are vision problems which cause blinding. All right, now we have the vision problems which do not lead to a patient becoming blind. All right, now we have the lid problems, all right, such as chalacio, all right, ectropion, entropion, ptosis, palpebral. We may add, we have the dry eye syndrome, and this is where we have itching, dryness, and grittiness within the eyes. You may see them rubbing their eyes or complaining that something is within their eyes, watering, and most definitely eye strain. We have to pay very close attention and not imply that they are complaining a lot or that they are causing problems for themselves, but this is really a true problem that they are having, and we should not wait until we definitely come across the problem, but we should try to do something before. Some of the things that we can do before to avoid these specific problems. In my home, I have a patient, I'm not going to mention her name, that she always say, Dr. Stanley, when you go to shop, remember the carrots, please. And that's something that we always have within our menu, the vegetables that carry vitamin A. All right, that most definitely help the sight, and carrots is most definitely one of them, and it starts there. All right, those persons who need visual correction, such as glasses, they definitely should get them before it becomes too late and their sight is uncorrectable, where they can't do anything about it. Yes, definitely these things we have to try to get deal with the preventative things first before we get to these things that we may or may not be able to control.
And we definitely have to stick to what we were taught in Cuba. Preventative medicine is the gold standard. We came from that system. It is, we say it's better to prevent than to actually. I didn't even realize that, that's why I went back there. Yes, it is, because that's our system. That is where we came from, and I'm so proud of that system. We also have nurse in terms of the hearing loss, and the hearing loss can actually lead to a lot of falls, because as you know, the inner ear is responsible for balance and walk and gait. And as you get older, these parts of the body, they begin to degenerate a bit. So older persons are more prone to falling. So nurse, how can you, or how have you equipped your nursing home to deal with this problem?
Okay, well, first of all, to correct that.
Woodley, it's not a nursing home. It's an in-home nursing service, mobile service that we provide. Okay. Yes. So with clients that have a deficiency in hearing loss, because of the gradual change in the hearing, some persons are not aware of the changes at first, especially the elderly. They're the person that is being affected, that's the last person who would actually realize that, hey, I am at this point where I'm unable to hear properly, especially where it concerns the high-pitched sounds. They're not able to hear a fire alarm. They're not able to hear a phone ringing. And this puts them at risk, their lives at risk. They're more or less in danger, because if for whatever reason you have a fire that may break out in their home, especially if they're left alone, because we have technology now where persons are being monitored at home with a security system. So you find that you would have that security personnel would call in or ring the phone and have them answer. Once they don't answer, you find that they would send someone to go in to just make sure, to check on them, as we would say. But if you have, they're not able to hear that high-pitched sound, such as the fire alarm, they're at risk. You may have a fire that may break out, and it may be a neighbor or someone who happened to be a passerby who may say, hey, I know that there's a gentleman who lives in here by himself, his relatives are at work, or, let me see what's going on, let me call for some backup, some help. So once they begin to lose that sense of hearing, especially where the high-pitched sounds are concerned, we know that it is a problem for them. Often it affects the ability, like I said, to hear high-pitched noises, right? It puts them in a position that their safety becomes compromised. Falls, because they're unable to hear the high-pitched sounds, they would hear the softer ones, so they may hear a footstep, but they won't be able to hear themselves walking. They won't be able to know that, hey, there's a can or there's an obstruction here on the floor, that even though they see it, they're not able to hear that this is going to make a sound and I may trip over it. And that is some of the things that happens, especially in the homes of our elderly persons within our community. So they're prone to falls. This is one of the leading causes of fatal and non-fatal injuries among our elderly adults within our society. Also the people with hearing loss, they have a higher risk of falling than the general population. Doctor would have alluded to it earlier, Dr. Stanley, where she talked about the bones of the elderly persons. They're so susceptible that when they fall, they're easily broken. And they're not like you and I, who are much younger, who would heal at a quicker pace. They take forever. They take a while before that some of these bones can heal, and if they actually heal at all.
So if anyone wants to be part of discussion, you can see the numbers at the bottom of your screen: 466-2666, 662-8674, 767-4765, and the overseas line is 1-239-645-4500. You can always call in and be part of this discussion. Now, Mr. Martin, back to you. As we get older, we have to senior-proof our homes, and the nurse and doctor will speak about that. Does insurance cover all of this? Can I get a package, because I may need to get a lift to go up my stairs, I need to get all the different bars around my home, and these things cost money. So can I write down on the insurance form, I don't know what to write, aid for a home, senior proof in the home, and would that be covered generically, in most insurance plans?
Generally speaking, that unfortunately is not covered in a health insurance policy. But again, it comes back around to financial stability as well. If you would have invested in a plan at an earlier age that would pay you out enough when you are older, then perhaps you can guarantee yourself enough money to pledge towards some of these very important features that you need when you get older. So, such as the pension plan, such as the endowment plan. So, so if there's something that is not available in the health insurance plan, rest assured, certain life insurance plans can provide you with the funds that you need in order to purchase these things for yourself when you get older. But no, I don't believe that most health insurance plans cater to that particular type of resource to help you when you're older.
Well, I'm going to be a little troublemaker. I think that needs to be part of some packages, and because these things cost money, and sometimes you don't have that money in hand, and sometimes I cannot wait until 3-4 years when my plan would have matured. So, that is why we're here on the show. We're here to, bring things forward, let the persons who are listening and may be able to make a change, think about like, hey, probably I need to do this, because I have patients, probably not at the age of 60 and beyond, but even younger, and they have to buy crutches, they have to buy walkers, they may have gotten into an accident, and these things cost money, and they will say to me, Dr. Woodley, the insurance is not covering these things, and then that would not give them quality of life. So these are things, just to think about. It doesn't hurt, but one of my fears I have is, dying. I have a daughter and leaving her behind. Yeah, that's a tight one. So as I age, that is so ever present in my mind. What is there for me? God forbid, if something happens to me, what can I, that pension plan that you spoke about, that endowment plan that you spoke about, God forbid, if something happens to me and I have those plans and I die, can I just pass them on to my children, my loved ones, or it just goes up in air?
Well, no, those plans provide protection for your beneficiaries, particularly the endowment plan. Once the insured dies within the policy's term, the coverage is paid to the beneficiary. The same with the pension plan. Once the pension plan matures and the policy owner passes away, there's a period of time in which the beneficiary will continue to receive the pension. But there are plans that are specifically designed to cater to leaving that legacy for your loved ones. Plans like whole life plans that provide permanent, lifelong protection for one's beneficiaries. And I certainly encourage the general public to research these plans because they are the most secure forms of life insurance protection. Now, if you want to make sure that, God forbid, if you pass away at any point in time, there is something there for your loved ones, yes, a whole life plan is an ideal policy to invest in, making sure that there will be a substantial death benefit paid to your loved one. And along the lines of the elderly, a lot of persons don't know that there are plans that even the very old persons in our society, or even the very sick and injured, can get. Sometimes some persons think that because they're sick or they've been declined for insurance in the past, they can't get any coverage. But there are burial plans in place that don't need any underwriting or any type of test to be done. Even somebody up to the age of 70 who is terminally ill, who is very sick, can get coverage from those particular plans. So those are things that provide that financial security for a loved one when indeed the policy owner passes away.
Okay, that's very interesting, because I always thought that once you reach a particular age, insurance companies, they tend to run away from you. Oh, he's 60, so we know he's going to die soon. 3 scores and 10, so just now he's 70, so it doesn't make any sense for us to invest. So this is some good news for me. I didn't know. I'm sure persons who are viewing as well did not know about it. So even though you are 60 and beyond, you can go in, speak to your insurance company, and see what plan may be there for you. Let me also remind you that your Social Security is also important. That's another source that you can have when you are at 60 and beyond. And if you have multiple sources of income at that age, it is so good. So you always have to try and put little bits in the little baskets. As my father used to say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You can have it spread around, so by the time you reach that age, you have enough to keep you going. Now, Dr. Stanley and nurse, you guys are into, the senior care, taking care of the elderly. How can I senior-proof my home? And this is something that is big, because the health system has gotten better, which means persons are living a little longer. So now we definitely have to cater for our senior citizens. But because, of all these sicknesses and diseases, poor vision, poor hearing, the diabetics, the hypertensive, we have to proof the homes for the senior citizens. So Dr. Stanley, give us some insight as how you would have senior-proof your home for your clients.
No, I'm definitely excited that you would have mentioned that it's something big, because it is something that is very big. Now, with the same excitement that we welcome a newborn to our home, that's the same excitement that we should welcome the elder in our home. I could remember when I had my firstborn, my husband and his dad, they were so excited. They spent all night fixing up the room and putting there and proofing it for the baby and putting this on the switches and stuff like that. And that's the same attention that should be paid when we have an elder in the home. There are definitely some changes that have to be made with regards to the elder, and most definitely we should pay attention, because the ability to move around, definitely, as we spoke about, is decreased. All right, and the agility as well is decreased. There are certain things that they won't be able, and there's certain movements that they won't be able to make once they've stepped into that definite step of their life. All right, so some of the changes that I would have made to my home, all right, to accommodate the elder home, are definitely not basic. They're very, very important, and it should be something that's embraced, all right, rather than running away from. All right, especially with tables, for examples, and the edge of the tables, we must have edge protectors, all right, and that's, you know, in the event that the elder patient would fall, you know, it prevents a less drastic resulting damage to the patient, regardless of where the patient might have hit, all right, or collapsed, all right. Walkers especially should be provided for the patients, so that, you know, it's more fluid, and in the event we have an energy decreased moment, all right, the patient definitely has one of these walkers to provide some sort of support, all right, and not just for them to walk, but, you know, for their backs, for their legs, and for the bones, you know, that are definitely breaking down at that particular time. The bathrooms, they must be modified, definitely. You know, I'm seeing an image right there, and I know when the young lady came to examine my house, she would have said to me, this needs to go, you know, because it's too high regarding where the elder patient has to step into the tub, because that the cognitive processes are decreased. Hence, the patient's ability to lift their legs decreases also, and we must pay. I mean, I see that they have the handles and the bars, and that's very correct, but I think that that tub is a little too high, in my opinion, to accommodate the elder patients. I see that they have the door, the adequate sizing, 36 inches. That's perfect for the elderly. As we said before, remember, Nurse Hamilton explained the hearing aspect, where balance plays a big role in that as well. We have to be very careful taking that into consideration, because with loss of hearing, so loss of balance, and so loss of coordination. You understand? So the door must have enough space to accommodate the elder patients as well. In the shower, you know, because the shower is a long process for some of us, you know, and as you become older, it may be a tiresome process. It's advised to have chairs, bath chairs, so that the elder can sit and accommodate themselves, and where they can bathe themselves, because we still must give them some sort of independence, all right, and not put them in the bath and rush them out. Hurry up, come out the bath. No, let them take their time, and they can assist themselves during bath time, which should be something that they enjoy. All right. No, Hamilton, I'm saying too much. Should I give you? Let me let.
So we can have no Hamilton jump in.
Yes, yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Thank you, Doc. You would have made mention of the walkers, just to piggyback off of what you would have said. But one of the key things, especially where walkers, the use of walkers are concerned, is that we have to ensure that the walkers, some of them don't have any rubber tips, and that is a key component for walkers. We have to ensure, because remember, our elderly persons, they are pushing them around. You may notice that some of the walkers, they have wheels at the front, but the back of them, because it's a four-legged device, mobile device, the front would have wheels, and the back, you find, it would just be just the bare iron. So we have to ensure that these have rubber caps that are easy for our elderly persons to ambulate through the space that is provided for them, which is it can either be their home or even in the nursing home facilities that are provided here for us. Also, we talk about the lighting. Where safety and security is concerned, that is very essential for our elderlies. We would have looked at some of the debilitating morbidities, that would plague the elderly. And one of the things Doctor would have pointed out was the vision. As their vision diminishes, because you have muscle weakness, the muscles around the eyes and the tendons would weaken, you have that the ability, the lighting is supposed to be adequate for our elderly. Even though they're mobile, one of the things that we try to encourage, because we provide in-home nursing care, is that we try to encourage persons to have not just night lamps that we can switch on, because if their vision is decreased, they're not going to be able to find the little minute switch. So you have the tap switches that as they walk to their bed or to the bathroom, they can tap that lamp and the light would come on.
Can't we get an Alexa? Alexa, turn the light on?
Well, you can, but sometimes Alexa and Google, they don't recognize your voice. So it takes a little while for them to become synchronized and say, oh, you're the owner. Okay, I recognize your voice now. Okay. So it's more easily to have the light switches where you have the taps. They just tap and they go around, they go to the bathroom. The walkers, back to the walkers, some of the walkers that we have here that I have seen, they are not fit for height. By that I mean you may have a client who is very tall, but because with age they become a little bit shorter, their upper back becomes a little slouched over. So you have that walker that they have to be pushing forward, which creates much of a problem for them. So what we do, we encourage that if you're going to have a walker, you ensure that it is fit for height for the client, not to have the client pushing the walker forward to come towards the walker. They're actually supposed to be walking with the walker, right? So another thing that we can look at as well is the showers. You know, instead, doctor did mention about the tubs, but because of the height of the tubs, you try and encourage, if possible, if the clients can afford it, walk in showers. So you just go straight in from your bed. You go, you're going to take a shower. You go straight into your shower without having to step over, which put you at risk for having a fall or injury, So we encourage walk-in showers. Also, she would have mentioned about the setup of the home, the layout of the home, placement of the home. Our elderly persons, they're no longer able to climb the stairs. You have 15 stairs to get to your bedroom at the top. You're no longer able to climb that. You just want to be able to just come in your living room or come through your front door and go straight to your room. So in terms of your placements, family members, we have to look at putting them on a lower level that would be more easily accessible to them versus having them climbing all these stairs or being transported up these stairs, lifted up these stairs to get to their most comfortable place of rest, which is their room. Sure, you can.
By right, of course, if I equip myself financially,
yes,
and I want to stay,
yes.
Hello, and I want to stay on my second floor, I can have someone install.
That device, yes.
With
the whole life plan that Mr. Martin would have mentioned.
Or the pension plan, definitely. Or the endowment plan, definitely.
So Mr. Martin,
so that I can get up the stairs,
I'd like to ask Nurse Hamilton a question. Oftentimes I find that persons, especially in this region, they sometimes make themselves old before they're actually old. And how important is it for persons who are aging not to define themselves as old and acting that way, but to still be young and still be active and still be outgoing in order to maintain that youth? How important is the mental aspect of taking that approach?
Hamilton, you have 30 seconds. Can you imagine? It's 10 o'clock.
Already finished?
It's 10 o'clock. So we definitely have to get a part 2 on this. But Hamilton, just give us a quick answer to that. Then we'll have Dr. Stanley wrap up. We're going to have Mr. Martin wrap up. And if you can get Nurse back, I don't know how to have her wrap up quickly as well. So, Nurse Hamilton?
Sure, thanks. Well, Mr. Martin, like you would have already outlined, it is a mindset. It is a mindset. I mean, within our society, we have persons, or we have to incorporate the family into the caregiving. We cannot give care in isolation. You know, we have to ensure that every aspect of the care of the elderly is dealt with. So it is a mindset of a person, because, I mean, some of the factors that can affect this is that persons they may have lost a loved one. So it now places them in a position where they develop a sense of depression, they develop a sense of loneliness. They feel like they're no longer, like Dr. would have mentioned earlier, they feel like they're no longer worth living. So we as not only a family but as a community, we have to ensure that we incorporate the care. We have to keep them active. The social services, the care officers that go around that are working for the government, you know, because we can't do it alone. It has to be a team effort from every aspect of, whether it is government, whether it is the family, whether it is society. Every aspect has to be touched on it in terms of, to ensure, that these elderly persons don't feel as old as they may look. Right? That they feel that they are wanted, they feel that they are a part of an organization or a part of society that appreciates them and value their contribution that they would have given over the time span of their journey here on earth. Right?
Okay, Dr. Stanley, for you to wrap up.
Yes, most definitely. I have to disagree with Mr. Martin. I can't remember exactly what you were saying, but I think he was looking as old as, what did you say? Go.
Some persons, they're not as old, but they behave that way. They get themselves old.
Now, personally, I don't believe in that, and I believe in accessing the patient and dealing with each patient individually. Each patient has a different psyche. Each patient has a different mental status, and we should accommodate the patient's care depending on the status, all right, mentally that they would have had. Now, definitely we have to tap into the religious aspect when it comes to caring for the patient, because I find, especially in my elderly home, that religion plays a very important part, all right, in this mental stability, believe it or not, and regardless of whether you're a Christian or whether you believe in God. I mean, when you reach that particular age, all I'm hearing them saying, thank you, God, bless you, daughter, it means that there's some sense of religion, all right, within them, and that's something that we should profound on and ensure that that's incorporated in their daily lifestyle to provide some sort of stability. I would like to encourage each and every individual who is tuned in this evening to HealthWise to make your elderly feel as if they are important. Give them some sense of importance. Don't just put them on the back burner. They are important, and whether you access care from a home service or from an elderly home, you have to still play a part, as Teresa says, in their care. It's very important. You know, all the aspects here, they come together and they form one, and at the end of the day, it's simple care for the elderly. They deserve love, and that's something that we should not keep from them, love. I walk to my elder home in the mornings and I give all of my elders a kiss. Believe it or not, that's what I do. I show them love. The family members are not there, and that's what I'm here for. So at home, we should even do it more. We should love them. And you know, I always look and I always say, remember when you were a child and they taught you to use a spoon, and they taught you to tie your shoe, and they took you to the ball park to play? That's the same thing that we should do for them. You know, keep them loved.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stanley. And we're going to have our star patient, or a star analyst tonight, which is Sister Manning, to actually give her closing statements, and then we're going to have Mr. Martin come in after Sister Manning.
Well, I'm happy to be here this evening and to listen to those who are giving care and to understand how the insurance works. I think at my age, I'm not counted in that insurance, but I thank God for helping me when I had insurance. I also want to say that the talk tonight is about those elderly who cannot help themselves or have memory loss or something. But there are other senior persons who are moving about, those who are very active, those who go to various functions, those who are in organizations, and so they do not feel the brunt of what they have been speaking about. I'll give a little explanation. I must say that God has been good to me. I've been able to go to many organizations, some of them because of the COVID, they're not existing as they used to, like the seniors for the Moravian Church. It was not only for the church itself, but there were other people, other denominations that joined, and I enjoyed going there. And then we also have the Flora Rangers. I sent them on the chat that I was not coming this afternoon, but I didn't tell them why. But I want to say, because I was thinking of myself coming here tonight, then there is a church where those who are able to move about, part of a member of the church group, sing in it, do other things in it. And there are other organizations, the BPW, all sorts. If you find yourself can move about, move about. Don't sit down, and when you can't, that's a difference. But once you can, make a good, go at it, and the Lord will help you to inspire others to do likewise.
Thank you so much, Sister Manning. I'm so inspired by you, by your story, by your life. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And we have Mr. Martin to give his outro.
Well, it has certainly been a pleasure being here with the other panelists tonight. Certainly a very enlightening and valuable and beneficial discussion. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage the general public to seek ways that you can enrich your life. Seek ways that you can see yourself be financially stable for the future, and also be proactive and not reactive. Cherish the elderly in our community, ensure that they feel valued, ensure that they feel loved, and continue to explore all opportunities available for wise financial decisions and investments. Thank you very much for being in tune tonight.
And I want to thank everyone who has tuned in tonight. I want to thank you sincerely. We do appreciate that you have tuned in to our HealthWise. And tonight's topic was Age with Grace, Good Health, and Economic Stability. I also want to wish all my ladies who are out there, continue to be awesome, continue to be great, continue to be A+ amazing. As tomorrow is International Women's Day, I want to congratulate all women in the Federation regionally and internationally. So from the executive of the St. Kitts Nevis Medical and Dental Association, I am wishing you a pleasant week. Be nice and be kind. Bye.
In these uncertain times, good health is a must. Let Quality Diagnostic Laboratory provide you with fast, accurate results of the medical laboratory tests that you need. At QDL, our qualified and experienced staff can provide a host of blood, urine, and other tests in a safe, confidential, comfortable, and welcoming environment. We are open Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays to 12 noon. We are at the corner of Fines Avenue and Keon Street. Contact us at info@qualitydiagnosticlab.com or call 869-465-6657. And yes, si habla español. Quality Diagnostic Laboratory. Excellence in performance.
Welcome to the beautiful islands of St. Kitts and Nevis. Today, we'll be spending time with the Wilberts. They're a happy family that love liming, and with plenty of food and drink to go around, life is good, but not for long. Sadly, the Wilberts never paid attention to what they ate or drank. And when asked to reduce those sugary drinks, they joked and said, "We will, but not today." Unfortunately, a year later, Mr. Wilbert had a stroke. And a few months after that, Mrs. Wilbert was diagnosed with diabetes. From hospital bills and the cost of drugs to time off work, this began to take its toll on the family. But it wasn't until they saw the effect it was having on their children that they finally decided to make a change. You see, the Wilberts realized their family was already sweet enough, and a healthy lifestyle was the best gift they could ever give them. What gift will you give your children?